I just got this Series 1 330 GT2 Plus 2. Just got delivered to me. It's a car that I'm pretty familiar with. I've known this car for a long time from the previous owner who bought it and restored it. And I helped him do it and helped him, advised him when he did the initial restoration. And then it went to another customer of mine that bought it, and then he wanted to take it to Cavallino, and this car has been with me, where we decided that it was nice enough that we would try to win a platinum at Cavallino a couple years ago, and took it there and won with it. So then another owner in Florida saw this car on the lawn at Cavallino, fell in love with it, and just said, I want to buy this car. So he bought it from the second owner that I knew, and he took it back to Cavallino the following year, and then called me and says, would I mind showing the car, since I had shown it before, and he asked me if I would help him show it again, and I did, and he won another platinum, but he's always improving on the car, and this gentleman that owns the car now wanted to take it back again and even fix the things that they found wrong with the car then. These cars, you know, the thing about showing cars is I don't know if there's such a thing as perfection. Because what happens is the judges are always you're always changing judges. So there's always somebody who's going to find something wrong. So even just between the first time I took it to Cavallino to the second time, there were things that I knew that could have been improved upon. And I went ahead and did it. And I think the judges appreciate it because, you know, you might get a platinum is 97 points or higher. And when you get a 97 points or higher and you win a platinum and you bring it back the following year and you do nothing to it, guarantee you they will find something that's wrong with this car. So it's always good to keep improving on the car. In fact, between two owners, this car had been partially painted again because I knew that there was a couple of little paint blemishes on the car, of which we really lucked out the first year we showed. It was raining, so they didn't see it. But the next owner who had it, the current owner, he wanted to make it perfect, so he sent it and had paint work done on this car. So then from last year to this year, I still saw a couple things that are wrong. And you know, it's like you look at the same car forever and ever, and you really, you know, sometimes you just need some fresh eyes on it. Well, here it is back again. It's been off the truck for just a couple minutes, and I'm already started taking things apart. You know, what I did was, when I was at the show last year at Cavallino, I noticed that the headlights were getting a little dirty on the inside. These they're not sealed beams. What they are they have a light bulb insert, very much like an H1 or H2. And what happens is water gets inside there and the silvering gets a little dirty. And that was the first thing I wanted to do. I wanted to take the thing apart, take a look at it, see how difficult it is to try to clean the inside of the headlight out and just try to clean that up a little bit. It was something that I saw at the show. I don't think anybody else did, but if I had a problem with a car, if I really had a really nice platinum car like this, and I were judging it, I may have a problem with the headlight being dirty inside. These are not as bad. They still have a decent silvering on it. There's a little bit of staining. I don't know if they're gonna have a problem with that, but I am going to try my best to clean it a little bit and get rid of some of the staining. To try to eliminate some of that. And then, as I'm going through the car, I caught this, which was very interesting. The jerk rails are held on with these tiny little screws. I normally feel like they should be oval head screws, that's what we have here. But if you follow this back, flat. Now I know that's really nitpicking, but they're not matching. So then you go across to the other side of the car. Oval head. Then you follow this all the way up here. Flathead. So, you know, did I miss this? Did this car get these taken off when they painted the car? I don't remember. I mean, I think, and again, I have to remember if it was me, but you know, right now, as it sits, they're not matching. So what I want to do is, you know, that's another thing I'm going to put on my list, is I'm going to change the screws. Yes, that's pretty anal. But if a judge sees a really nice car, now this is going to be the third time it's going back to Cavallino, we actually have to make sure that everything on this car is as perfect as it can be, because they're going to be looking for every possible flaw. So I've got this car with me for, you know, however long it takes to kind of go over those little details and send it back down and get it ready for another time to run it across the show. So here we go. Well, the screws came in. They come from Nuco products. These are that's the part number. Neil has a bunch of stuff for Ferraris that he's done. He's restoring a GTC, and you know, it's really good that he had it. I mean, you could get screws. I really tried to consider where I was going to get these screws, because you know, they're Phillips oval head sheet metal screws, but they are smaller than, let's say, an American, what they would call a number 2. I think they would be considered a number 2 screw. Most times you can find number 4s, but number 2s are really hard. I had considered getting modeling screws that were machine screws and fitting them in there that had the right heads, but ultimately this is the way to go. I had to buy 100 of them. I think 50 or 100 of them. Yeah, it was 100 of them. But since talking to Neil, Neil has started to include a few of these in the kits, the hardware kits, which I think what I paid for these is about how much I should have spent for the hardware kit, but obviously he didn't have it. I needed the screws. I bought the screws, and then he calls me and says he's now including them in the hardware kit. So I've done the work for you guys. If you guys need these screws, go ahead and call Neil and buy the hardware kit. It comes with all the assortments, so you get the number 2s, the number 4s, all the other ones that would normally go into a Ferrari, and then as a benefit, you'll get a couple of these and be off. Or you can call me and I can probably sell and send a couple of these things, because this is like a lifetime supply of these screws. But just to show you what happened was that I went and pulled the first screw that I showed you that seemed wrong, and it was large. So when you look at the head of this measures, let me see if I can get my hand on there, measures almost 5 millimeters. It's actually a little bit more than that. It's a little bit more than 5 millimeters across. So pretty big head, or, you know, it's like really honestly 5.13, 5.2 if I get a flat. To most people, it would probably pass muster, 5.2, 5.13. But when you really, the right one, that's the right size, is this one that I got from Nuco. The head is 4 millimeters. So, like, to me, okay, that's 1 millimeter difference, but when you hold them next to each other and you look, that's significantly bigger. This is what I'd like to see on the car. This is what originally came in the car. That's the size. It really does not fit in the hole that it is. There is one problem, though. This one was in the car, and it's wallowed out the hole. So now all of a sudden, this one won't go in the hole. So what do? Well, there's a cheap way to do it. You put a little piece of JB Weld in the hole, and you screw this in there, and that's that. Yeah, I could do that. No one would know. Put a little bit in there, it would harden, and then that would stay in there. It's not really holding it from popping out. It's really capturing the drip rail in there. But there's also another trick, which I'll show you what I learned how to do. Okay, so the first thing you do is you get some really thin wire. You could find some, you know, even a couple strands of copper wire and electrical wire, or this stuff. I have a spool of this coated wire that I use for all sorts of stuff, but this wire seems to work for me. So what I'm trying to do is I'm going to cut, well, first I'm going to try to do this. I'm going to wrap this around this screw, okay? Get that really tight underneath the head of the screw so it doesn't poke out on the other side. And then I'm going to cut this off. Cut a little tab of it off. Okay, so now I have the wire wrapped around the screw with just a little bit of the head poking out past the end of it. I'll cut that off a little bit more. And we're going to try this and take a look at what it looks like going into the car. So what's going to happen is I've wrapped this thread a couple winds around the screw. Then what I'm going to do is as I screw it in, and again, the hole is bigger because of this, but what I'm hoping is that the wire that's wrapped around, just the edge of it will catch it, because you're just making the hole a little bit, you're catching this thread against that screw, and that's what I'm going to do. So let's see how that works out here. So as you can see, this hole is so much bigger. If I can get the head of that screw in there with the little piece of wire, and then start the screw, that wire is going to hold the head or hold the threads of this screw because it's jammed in there with the rest of the screw. So now it won't pop out. And you look at there, and that's what it's supposed to look like. I might chop the head of this screw down a little bit. It's a little long, but that's really how that's supposed to go in. It's going to stay in, and that's a much better fit. So now it pulls it, it doesn't pull out or will fall out. There you have it. Screws are in. I cut the back sides off so they wouldn't stick out as much, because again, I just didn't like the way they were a little long, so I kind of just felt like it would be better just cut them off and to the length that they probably were originally. So that's how they now all four of them match. I know it's crazy, but you know, in my mind, it's just we're trying to get this car a little closer to perfection, and having mismatched screws for whatever reason, I think the last person that put these screws in, you know, was just didn't have all the screws that were matched, and they just found four of them that worked. But now we have all four matching screws, and that's moving on to the next thing that we have to correct. Well, the headlights came in from Europe, so let's see what we got. What I had to get were original headlights for this car, because I really wanted to get some nice headlights. So let's see what these look like. These are the big test. So we got a bulb here. Filament looks good. And here's the headlight. Oh, not bad. I'm gonna have to compare this to the other one and see which one looks cleaner. See, what happens is the edge gasket gets a little dirty, and I want to see what these look like. So let me put these aside. It's really getting difficult to find headlights, original ones. The problem with Marshall's is that they're these French headlights that just really hard to find, because they seem to change so many different shapes and styles. See, like this one looks pretty good either, but I mean, it's still a little orange, but I'm going to take a look at and see what they look like to the other ones. What I really am hoping for is these are good. These headlights are the fog lights, and these are the ones that I'm really having trouble with. So let's see what these look like. These were supposedly original. Ooh, look at these. These are beautiful with the original clip in there. These look way better than the original ones. These are going to look nice. There's a 2 here, and there's a 1 there, and there's a 1 there. So this is probably this one. So you can see side by side. I don't know if you can see that, but side by side, this one's a lot cleaner than that one. So this is going to look very nice in there. I was told that these headlights are original NOS, new old stock, and so far it's looking like it's living up to what it said. Wow, look at this. Now this one's a little yellow compared to the other one. Let me see if we can see the difference here. See, and they're different, slightly different. But I think sitting in the car, the silvering is really nice. It's the gasket that's slightly different in color. So let's see what happens. Well, I definitely think it was worth getting lights, because when you look at the backside of the light that was installed on the car, you could see that it's just seen its years of corrosion, and the seal is starting to go bad. The glass is getting pitted from just driving and being blasted in the air. And then if you look closely at the silvering, it's all started to get like just mottled. And you know, I know it's still a nice light, it's beautiful, but I just wanted to make this car just a little bit better. So this is the one that I got, and if you look at it, this is, even though this is also probably about the same age, it's seen a lot less wear, and the glass is clear, and the silvering is not perfect, but it's certainly a lot better than what was on the car. The rubber gasket, that's a little faded. I wish that was a little bit clearer or white, more white, but I mean, that's kind of what you can get for, you know, so many years. I mean, this could be, for all I know, could be a 50-year-old light as well, or almost 60 years old. So for it to be this way comparatively, I think that you know, it's worth the extra effort, especially if we're making a show car. So this is the one that's going in the car. So I set up this towel down here because years ago I did I was replacing a turn signal lens on a 275 GTB. It was this guy right here, and it fell off. So I was unscrewing it, and just as I'm trying to get the piece out, it's kind of funny the way it's captured with the gasket, and I watched in slow motion as the thing rolled out and fell on the ground and shattered. To add insult to injury, it was a French delivery car, so, or a German delivery car, I think it was, but it was yellow turn signal lenses, and most of the ones that you see on cars are clear glass. Trying to find an orange dyed glass turn signal lens, I had to go to my friend in Germany and have him send one in his private stash. And I never told the owner about it, but it was one of those things where I had to make good on it. So ever since that happened, I never work on lights without some kind of towel or some kind of cushion to, if anything falls, it won't fall on the concrete and break. But so it's one of those lessons learned. Okay, so it looks like I'm going to transfer this bracket across. So it looks like, just want to make sure I have this correctly. Yeah, so it goes just like this. So if I leave the orientation like this, I should be able to take this trim ring off. They're not super good. These particularly are not indexed perfectly. In other words, there's usually these lights have like a little tab in them over here, but I don't think they index perfectly. So I kind of just have to eyeball it that it is vertical. It's facing down, so this is this way. Pop this guy out. Pop this guy in. See if I can actually take this one down a little bit. Easy. Again, this one's, the gasket is a little bit more yellow, but at the same time, the silvering is much better shape. This one has all kind of pitting in it, and the glass is all kind of pockmarked. This glass is nearly perfect. So I think this one's the one that we want to stick with. That looks a lot better. I mean, for me, I just feel like it makes a big difference in the headlights. I mean, just clearer and none of the staining that we had before. I think it was worth the effort. So now all I gotta do is test them. Let's make sure everything still works. Regular beams. Low beams. High beams. Looks good. Thanks for watching.